All right, and welcome to Making Law Simple. My name is David Helm. I am a licensed practicing attorney in the state of Michigan, and today we are talking about the Florida man. The Florida man. And we're going to be going over quite a few documents and discussing quite a few things. With me today is attorney Bruce. I don't know how to pronounce your last name, Bruce, so I'm just going to say Bruce. Welcome. Anyone who's watching me regularly knows I'm horrible with names. We have Shara. Welcome, Shara. How are you?
Hello.
We have the Umbrella Gal, and we have Excited Utterance. We might have another person joining us in a bit, but right now, this is a nice panel of five. So, if you guys don't know the Florida man, what we're talking about is Jeremy Hales. Jeremy Hales has been made, he's a YouTuber, and he has quite a few followers on YouTube with his channel, What the Hales. But in addition to that, he's also been embroiled in some lawsuits. And as a legal channel, we're here to talk about them. So, yes, and don't forget to give the thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to. We are on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, all over the place. And, Twitch as well. And X. We're streaming everywhere. So you can find us everywhere. But today we're going to break down a little bit of a different story. If you ever watch What the Hales, you know that Jeremy likes to talk a lot about the litigation, but I don't feel like a lot of it is legally sound. So we have Bruce and Shara here. Shara's a journalist. Bruce is part of the legal team, and Excited Utterance is tagging along because she loves this story.
Oh, yeah, I just love it.
How you guys doing today? Before we get into anything, did you guys want to say anything? Did you want to give your 2 cents? I know, we all come from different, we came to this case kind of from different perspectives. So Bruce, how did you get involved with this case? Or how do you even know about it?
Yeah, it's, I'll give you the 60-second version because otherwise we'd be here a while just on that. I was looking for a YouTuber to cover a big story that I have going on in Connecticut, actually, involving corruption and cover-up and disciplinary proceedings. And Larry Foreman, the DUI guy plus, had scheduled me for a live stream to do that story called the Macaroni and Cheese Cover-Up. And then he canceled on me, like with no notice, and like the day before, and no explanation. And so that's how I just sort of started watching some of his coverage of the What the Hales case. And boy, it was like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And, fast forward and I've now been engaged and we've engaged other counsel. That's some of the big news, and I'm sure get into that.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we do have some stuff to show you that nobody has seen. And we do have some stuff to talk about that nobody knows. So stick around for a little bit as we continue going through this particular case. Shara, how did you get involved with this?
A couple of people actually called me to cover the story. And at first I looked and I decided no. And I had never heard of the show or the person involved or anybody involved. And then they kept asking me, and weeks later I said, okay, let me look at the videos. I looked. And there was a video I saw of Mary, the clerk, in where she had her hand to her chest. It actually makes me cry when I think about it, but I won't cry, don't worry. But she had her hand to her chest, and she was being towered over. And she's an elderly woman. And what I saw in that video, and her hand trembling against her chest, it touched my heart. And I said, okay, I'm here.
Okay. Excited? You've been watching, you're in our circle, you know about this case, you know what's been going on. And for those of you who don't know, I covered, I had Jeremy, sorry, I dropped my bottle of water. I had Jeremy on one of my Lego streams because I thought it was a weird story. Something didn't sit right. And I asked him some questions. And since then I had even more questions. And he began then doxing me, or not doxing me. Sorry, that's the wrong term. DMC, whatever. He copyright claimed some of my videos and caused my last channel to be shut down. That's going to be a conversation for another stream. But so today what we're going to do is we're actually going to go over Jeremy's federal complaint and some of the other complaints against him and see what exactly is going on. See if this is a legit cause of action, because I have a lot of questions about this. And and so that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to talk about that. We have Shara here that's going to help us with some of the factual issues. Uh, we have some documents that are going to show that what Jeremy's saying maybe isn't quite the truth. And then, of course, we have Bruce here that's going to talk about some of the legal issues going on with this. So if you guys have never read a complaint before, this is fairly standard complaint. It says plaintiff Jeremy Hales, by and through his undersigned counsel, sues Lynette, Michelle, Lacey, Alexis, Preston, and John Cook, and states as follows. This case is about the use of threats or extortion to compel Hales to behave in a certain manner or to persuade Hales to provide Preston Cook with certain benefits. Okay, so that's his underlying claim. He's claiming that Michelle and John are trying to extort him. All right, so keep that in mind as we go through this. Hales is a resident of Summit County, Ohio, who has built his career around his passion through social media, including, without limitation, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and other platforms. Now, what's interesting about that is that he claims on several occasions that he doesn't earn any money off of YouTube or social media. But yet in this document, he's claiming to have built his career on these platforms. Hey, Sean, potentially criminal.
Hi, David. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Yourself?
I'm doing okay.
Well, let me real quick introduce you to everyone else that's here, since you might not know them. This is Bruce, top center. He is a Connecticut attorney. I don't know if Connecticut's right. He's an attorney. Anyways.
Massachusetts and Connecticut.
There we go.
Hi,
And
Bruce.
No, Norm Pattis very well, Sean.
Oh, okay.
And then we have Shara, who's a journalist. And are you in Florida, or are you just covering the case?
Me? I'm in Jersey, New York area.
Okay. All right. I didn't know. And then, of course, excited. And the Umbrella Gal.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, hi,
Adorable. She's so cute, the Umbrella Gal. I love her. Look at her. She's adorable.
Sean, we're going through the federal complaint. Have you read this at all?
No, I've not had a chance to. I was mowing the yard today, so I was a little busy.
No worries. No worries.
Yes.
So we're paragraph 2, literally paragraph 2. So he claims that he has built his career around his passion on social media, including not limited to Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, although he's had many streams where he claims that he doesn't earn any money off of YouTube, yet despite having 700,000 people across the world that subscribe to him. What do you think the chances of him not making any money off of YouTube?
Oh, well, that's great. Discovery, show us your AdSense account.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That'll be coming.
Well, that's the thing, right? So there's going to be a lot of discovery here. Bruce, I don't know if you want to talk about that at all.
Well, clearly, I mean, look, he wants to make these claims. He has conclusions, major conclusions about how his business has been interfered with and it's caused him damages. Well, that's what discovery's for. But there's going to be discovery not on only his claims, but there's not much discovery really needed, I don't think, on our end for counterclaims. I mean, I've never seen so much evidence to support counterclaims in the form of these terrorizing videos.
You dropped the ball. We have counterclaims coming, people. We have counterclaims coming. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the counterclaims that will be coming and filed against Jeremy. All right. So people who subscribe to the plaintiff's social media platform often pay monthly fees to the Hales and premium access to the Hales social media platform. If you've been around YouTube long enough, you know how all that works. Social media platforms are where people are educated, equipped, and encouraged. Hales has expanded and continues to expand or expend substantial time, money, and resources into equipping subscribers, providing or acquiring subscribers, providing ongoing program and maintaining relationship and goodwill with them. Since October 2021 to date, Preston resides in Levy County, Florida, essentially across the street from him. And since October 2021 to date, Cook resides on the same property. So they're talking about jurisdiction and venue here. So this is a federal case. So you have to have a federal issue, meaning a federal lawsuit or a violation of a federal statute or something like that, or diversity jurisdiction. Sean, What's your thoughts on the diversity jurisdiction here? I don't know if you know. I mean, he claims to live in Ohio, but he spends a substantial amount of time in Florida.
Yeah, no, he's tried to play this game and going back and forth, and I think that creates an issue because I think he's stuck saying he's in Ohio, though, because he claims he's been, and I know he said, oh, I have to go back to Ohio and litigate the CPO. I don't know if he would ever happen from that, but if he's availing himself of the laws of the state of Ohio, then I would argue he's a resident of the state of Ohio at that point. Although he's doing so much garbage in Florida, I don't know. I think it's a bit of an issue that's gonna have to get sorted out.
Another component of the diversity jurisdiction, he has to have damages over $75,000. So in addition to being from two different states filing in federal court, you also have to have damages over $75,000. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
And I don't see how he suffered damages. He's gained more viewers out of this.
Well, he says he hasn't.
Well, okay. But go back through his Facebook page, or not his Facebook, go back through his YouTube page. And if you look at the videos before the whole Otter Creek drama and with Michelle and all that stuff, he was getting like 86,000 views, 70,000 views, things like that. And now all of a sudden he's getting, hundreds of thousands of views.
I think it's actually the background has been more of a mix. So he has somewhere where they are a lot higher and somewhere they're a lot lower. It kind of is a mixed bag, I think.
Okay.
But overall,
yeah, that might be middle of the road, but they are consistent. If you look at it, there's definitely a line in which all of a sudden they jump up.
Yeah.
And
they haven't gone down, that's for sure.
Yeah, right.
If I on the diversity jurisdiction question, Dave, I think the stronger argument is on the amount in controversy. Let's give him that, it's an Ohio residency, so there's, diversity of citizenship. But I think it's a pretty good motion and a pretty good argument that they should have to at least put some underlying facts to show how they get to 75. And what's interesting about this, so it's an example of all the pile on from the, some of the people covering this on YouTube. For example, Larry Foreman, of course, everything that's filed, they go line by line, including those motions and the federal complaints. And the federal complaint just has 6 counts, 3 against each Preston and Cook. And in each one, he just says 75,000. So Larry Foreman's like, oh, what do you mean that it makes 75,000? That's 450,000. He's closed.
Yeah. And so what you're talking about is this 12B1 motion, which has been filed on behalf of John and Michelle, basically claiming that there are no allegations identifying specific damages of any kind or in any amount. And that's true. As we go through the complaint, there are none. But I'm going to go even a step further and say that this might be right for a summary motion because I'm not sure there's enough factual allegations to support this claim. And we're going to talk into the insanity that is some of the claims that are being made here as we keep going. So in December 2020, Hales purchased land, part-time operation, he said, of his social media platform in Levy County. That's the property, the 70 acres or whatever he says. In 2020, Preston and Cook resided in Northport. Okay, that doesn't matter. By the way, I wanted to point this out. So we have this beautiful document that's justified on both sides, up to page 2, and then all of a sudden it's not justified. We have 2 page 12s or paragraph 12s. So not the best. Oh, actually, no. Page 4 starts the unjustified portion, but we have 2 paragraph 12s.
I love that you are noticing the bad typesetting.
This is what I do. First of all, the justification is really annoying to me. If it's not justified on both sides, I notice it immediately. And then when I was going through and I was like making notes on the paragraphs, I'm like, oh, there's 2 page 12s. And I was sending stuff to Shara. I was like, hey, can you answer this question? It's the first paragraph 12.
David, can you go back to that one you were just talking about just go back where you were?
The motion?
Yeah, you were just reading something about the social media, why he moved to Florida.
Oh, yeah. Up here, he said. Let's see. In 2000, wait, hang on. Right here, paragraph 10. December 2020, Hales purchased land for part-time operations of his social media platform.
That's what right there. For social media, or was it for to be in the hub for all of the storage facilities?
Okay. Well, are we
Hmm.
getting? I get what you're saying. So what he said is that he purchased it so that he was in a central hub, located to a lot of uh, uh, busy,
Right,
suburban areas where there's a lot of storage units, and he can get to this one up here and that one over there and
right.
this one down here.
But
Um,
he didn't mention the storage units in that. He said social media.
yeah, but to be fair, his YouTube channel is a lot of storage unit stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
even I think the last couple of days he's been doing a lot more storage unit stuff too. So I think that's a fair statement overall. So I just think that's a fair statement. Now, he says that on or about May 18, 2020, Preston started her own YouTube channel. Did she, Shara? Do we know?
She started a very small channel with one little 10-second clip of her baby running through water sprinklers. It was like a family thing. It was her and her daughter, Pickles.
Mm.
Okay. So there's one video up on her YouTube channel and
10 seconds long.
yeah. Okay. So that's the
Really?
extent that she started a YouTube channel, I
Oh,
guess.
she put the video up. She put the video up in 2023.
2023. Oh, so she
Video.
okay.
Video.
The video of her
Wait.
daughter.
2023.
Okay. So here's the thing, people. If you want to start engaging in chat on YouTube, you have to create a channel.
Yeah.
If you don't have a channel, then you can't chat in YouTube. So if it's your first time ever on YouTube and you go and you be like, "Ooh, I want to chat and comment on this," YouTube will say, "Cool, create a channel," and then you can come back and chat. And so apparently on May 18th, 2020, she decided to comment on someone's channel, and YouTube said, "All right, you have to create a channel." So 3 years later, she posted one video, a 10-second video on the
The same-
channel that she was forced to create by YouTube.
Yeah, the same video twice. And I think there's two 10-second videos only. Both of her child, it was a family. It's a family channel.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
Like I have a private channel that I just put stuff on and I share it with family. Like, hey, I made a ski video from our last ski trip. Here you go. And everyone gets a link. Okay. So on or about July 17, 2021, Preston drove from Northport all the way across the street from the Hales property and taking a fan picture by the entrance. Now, it's my understanding that Jeremy encouraged people. I mean, he wasn't hiding where he was. And in fact, he put up signs out front, right?
I could take that further. He was inviting fans to move there,
Okay.
but that's not what happened here. But he was inviting fans to move there.
And there was a drive-through sign. I remember that. Now, he claims in more recent videos that the drive-through sign was to tell people just to keep driving through and not stop. But in earlier videos, I think it was very highly publicized to stop and take a picture of the drive-through sign and visit us, right? Shara, is that correct?
I'm not aware of that video. I do know that it was obviously in the videos, but I didn't see that video.
Okay. So Preston falsely claims that she bought the vacant lot across the road and that Hales was now her new neighbor. Now, I don't know about this post. I haven't seen it. Does that exist?
She did not falsely claim anything. She actually had purchased it. She had a contract. It was an oral contract contingent on selling her house. So she had a contract.
Okay. And so people don't understand too is when you sometimes people don't understand when you purchase real estate, you enter into what's called a purchase agreement. This is an agreement to at some point in the future when we secure financing, when we sell the other home after inspections, whatever, we're going to purchase this and we're going to establish a closing date. And at that closing date, you actually purchase the property. So she has a purchase agreement with the property owners at this time, right?
Yeah, she's working with a realtor, and the realtor actually gave her permission to move the large tree so she could enter the property. It was blocking the driveway to get in, the space to get in.
Yes, and that is one of the next things coming up. So she claims that she lied and said that she was the owner and that she asked Jeremy to move a tree and that she lied because it's not actually hers. It wasn't actually her property. Personally used his tractor to move the tree from the vacant lot across the road, which she did not even own in July 2021.
He had permission.
I bought, or I didn't buy, actually. I entered into a purchase agreement with a guy to purchase property, vacant land. And before I was going to purchase it, I wanted a perk test. I wanted to lay it out. I wanted to see if the city was good or the county was going to give me any issues with getting a septic and going and things like that. So I literally had an agreement from the guy. I came in with a backhoe and just pushed a bunch of trees out of the way and dug a bunch of stuff, and then had the county come in and we dug, I think it was 8 or 10 feet down in order to do a perk test for a septic and all this stuff. I didn't own it, but I had permission from the homeowner.
Right.
So
Not a crime, I promise.
it's
Permission is never a crime.
Yeah, permission is never a crime. And again, I solicited contractors to show up and drop off the truck. I solicited the county official to come by and do the test. They have to pull sand out and run water through it, and it has to pass through at a certain rate. Whatever. I'm bringing other people onto the property because I have permission to do it from the homeowner, or from the property owner, rather. So on or about July 21st, 2021, Preston and Cook listed the Northport home for sale. Okay, cool. It's documented. They sold their home and they moved to Levy County.
They
Great.
purchased
Nothing illegal here. Sean, are you seeing anything illegal in any of this so far?
nothing. I
No,
haven't seen anything illegal that they've ever done in this whole case, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, I mean, they moved to the county. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they
Well, that's just background for now, though. They'll get to what they claim is the illegal stuff, but
Yes,
you know,
I think
even
the
that's not.
closing was December 7th, 2021, if I
Mhm.
remember correctly.
So, all right. So between December 2021 and February 2023, both Preston and Cook created multiple local Levy County Facebook pages. Oh my God.
They did that in Northport as well. They got on pages because that's what they love. They love politics, and they had a tortoise rescue there, and also with fundraising, that's what you have to socialize, and this is what you do when you have a rescue. Everybody does it. Every single rescue.
Have you guys ever received, anyone out there listening, have you ever received a solicitation from a nonprofit or a charity saying, hey, it's Christmas time, donate to us, or it's July, it's, Christmas in July, we need donations? Nonprofits operate almost exclusively, or these types of things anyways, where they're like, on donations, right?
Mhm.
Most of them don't have any source of revenue other than donations. So you got to constantly hustle. Anyone who's ever owned or operated or been involved with a nonprofit knows how much you have to constantly hustle for
Yes.
donations, solicit, make friends with people, talk with everybody. Hey, I got a tortoise rescue, a shell thing. It's awesome. We've got so many turtles. You should donate. It's a great cause, blah, 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 blah. That's what you have to do to run these things.
And there's always fundraisers and things. They have events all the time. They have stands at events. They do that all the time for fundraising. If you go on the Facebook of any of those rescues, you will see fundraiser coming up, come to this restaurant, and it happens all the time with all of them.
Yeah. Between December 2021 and February 2023, made it clear to Hales that she was a fan of the Hales. Cool. Well, I have a rescue and there's people that have money and maybe they want to help me. So would on occasion ask for free merchandise, stating she needed money to pay her bills.
Wait a minute. He's mixing, you're taking a conversation here and you're marrying a conversation that doesn't belong together. Somebody's saying, oh my gosh, I need money to pay my bills. Doesn't mean they're saying, relating it to this. Like everybody needs
What's she gonna do? Pay her electric bill with some the Hales t-shirts? I don't get it.
Everybody needs to pay their bills with money. So I mean, she wasn't asking them for anything.
Well, this was the one okay, so guys, if you're sticking with us, on February 12th, Hales relented to the constant request for Preston, from Preston rather, to give Preston 2 leap pads. Okay. Now, this is never before seen. This is the text communication. This is the text communication from this time. All right. So you could scroll down later here. The dates are right. It's February. What is it? It's February 10th here. Okay, so we go back up. We're a couple of days before that. Maybe we're February 9th or whatever. So it says right here. This is the important part. I'd buy the keep frog. And then she clarifies, sorry, leapfrog. Ugh. Stay warm. She is offering to purchase it. And then Jeremy responds,
Yes.
no problem at all with the meet and greet. Not sure if the leapfrog works, but I'll look for it. Trailer is packed. He then gives it to her. And he says, I hope it works. And we will see. Thank you. She's excited. She's super smart and knows what it is.
And may I say, this is normal neighbor interaction.
Who are we
The
talking about when we
leapfrog
say she is super
Platinum one
smart?
works. Great. I still have to find a plugin for it, Small. You're welcome. This is the text communication. She never demanded it. She asked to purchase it.
Oh, you know what I just noticed? 2023.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, she wasn't a stalker from 2021 to 2023. They were obviously getting along very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's
My
early
point?
2023. Yeah.
When did
Yeah,
she become a
look at that.
stalker? When did she become a stalker if it wasn't the day she moved?
Right? So
Yeah, they're getting
obviously
along.
he had her, or she had him
This
illegally.
is why Cher is also on the legal team.
Right? Yeah. So so this is clear that she intended to purchase this. Now whether he gave it to her or not, whether there was a cash transaction, I don't have the receipt.
No, there wasn't.
As he likes to say, but I'd buy the
Oh,
keep
that's
frog.
nice.
Sorry, leapfrog. Right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the constant request to give her no.
Fine.
She offered to buy, and then they go through what the leap pads is. Leap pads, leapfrogs, keep frogs, whatever. They're all talking about the same thing. The dates
Yeah.
line up. This is what it is.
Okay, right. That's for Harley. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so it turned the story go, oh, it was an iPad. Now it's a leapfrog. It's like, that was the way they initially portrayed this.
And
Yeah.
they were used, and she was offering to buy them, even though she was offering to buy them.
Yeah. Oh wait.
I don't see a crime.
Hang on a second. I said I wasn't really going to engage with chat much because we had a lot to go through. But Walla is coming on with me next week, so I wanted to plug that. Hey Walla.
Awesome.
Yeah.
He's a
So
sword.
yeah, Walla's cool. I've had a few chats with him, and he's going to come on next week, and we're going to talk about all the copyright stuff. We're not even getting into the copyright and the fair use stuff like that. We're literally just breaking down this federal lawsuit that Jeremy has filed against Michelle. So on or about February 15, 2023, Preston asked Hales if she could attend the free paid or for free a paid meet and greet. Do you know anything about this meet and greet, Shara? Can you talk about that?
Well, I know that he had a big event where his fans came and all kinds of people came to that event, and I believe that is the event that they're discussing here.
Okay, and Hales said yes. So she asked, and he said yes. I don't know about February 20th, 2023. Preston asked Hales if she could bring her own donation box again, hustle, to the meet and greet, and Hales said no. Okay, so be it.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with bringing a turtle. And you know how, like, when you have events and you have people that set up stands and things at events, and everybody does it. So what is wrong with that? You have a neighbor that has a big event. Why not have a? No, why not ask? Can you look? If I was an artist,
what if she had a food truck and said, "Hey, I'll set up a food truck and I'll sell food at your big event"? Would that be so bad? Now, granted, he had the right, and he did say no. Okay, so be it.
That's okay too. But where's the crime?
Being denied further access to pecuniary advantages. I'm not sure what pecuniary advantages there was, other than she couldn't set up a donation box at the meet and greet. If that's the one and only, I'm not sure. They were permitted to solicit donations from Hales' fan base. Preston and Cook maliciously began threatening to do injury to the Hales' reputation with intent thereby to extort pecuniary advantage for themselves. All right.
goodness. Who
So
wrote
what
that?
they're saying here is essentially this is the like extortion part. You do this for me, or else I'm going to do that to you, kind of thing.
Right.
But where's the specific allegations here?
Who wrote that and where'd they get it from?
Wow,
Just-
only thinks about the size of his junk. Defamatory. Oof.
He probably that was probably to do with the 2-inch pipe, I think.
Oh,
Maybe. A lot of
They're
talk
reaching. If this is the first thing they put in there to start exemplifying, they're reaching.
Yeah.
Pretty.
We're going to keep going. Preston and Cook immediately began publishing defamatory statements about the Hales on their various social media platforms. In May 2023, for example, Preston stated on her social media that she watched Jeremy Hales' video that she watched Jeremy Hales' video till recently. Wait, what?
I think
Yeah,
she
just
stopped
watching recently.
stopped watching.
Till recently, and Jeremy Hales only thinks about the size of his junk. Okay, I feel like
That's
those are.
That's an opinion, isn't it? Like that she stopped watching. It was her choice to stop watching. I mean,
Jeremy,
that's not
I
defamatory
stopped
statement.
watching your content, your videos recently, and I think you're only interested in the size of your junk.
How's that defamatory?
yeah, like can we talk about what he said about her online? Calling her
Yeah,
a child?
Right. He's a worldwide public figure. Jeremy Hales is a worldwide.
He's a public figure,
Yes.
correct.
Michelle
Mhm.
Preston is not.
No,
It
and
isn't by choice. It isn't
this
by
is-
choice.
this is my biggest problem. He punches down. Punches down to some elderly people who
Well, it is.
and if anyone speaks anything different, then they get harassed as well. And I unfortunately can't stay for the whole stream today, guys. I have to go do something with my mum, but I just wanted to say before I do have to go, I'll stay a little bit longer. But those of you guys who have spoken up in opposition, well, not opposition, but just spoken up to show the other side of this. It's taken a lot of guts, because anyone who does say anything that is contrary to Jeremy Hale's narrative, they face bullying. They face people calling them names. They face potentially there being songs written about them and cartoons and live streams about them and all sorts of things. And it's just not right. It's
And
just not
threats.
right.
Not a
It's
threat.
just not.
But
It's not
but
right.
excited.
And-
But the one thing he apparently didn't count on was her being able to fight back, and her having the wherewithal to engage counsel that's committed to, to fighting back for her, and having bought the time, the couple of months so far since those 12B1 motions were filed, to find these lawyers.
Well, congratulations to her, but it's not right. It's just not right that she should be. If I were her, and I assume she is feeling this way, scared to just go outside of her own home. Yeah,
Terrified.
is that the case, Shara?
Yes, ma'am. Terrified.
Yeah.
Not only does she have these constant people on her all the time, her neighbors, and she's not committing the things that they're saying that she's committing, and I have all that kind of evidence going on, but then she has there are fans that are calling her, and she's gotten threats, and you can just imagine you're there with a child, and how many hundreds of thousands of people know where you are. They have your address. They think you're this horrific person that you're not. It's
not right. It's not right. And my heart breaks for these people. I don't care what they've done. No one is in a place where they can't, where you're not able to say that you've done nothing wrong in your life. No one is innocent of everything. So if you're able to sit there and throw stones and you're not in a glass house, then really, I mean, come on. Everyone's sitting around going, oh, she's crazy, she's this, she's that. What if she is crazy, right? What if she actually does have mental problems and she does something to herself? How are you going to feel then?
Or
right?
Even if she was destroy someone because of that, which I don't find her to be. She's very intelligent, quite intelligent. Whenever I talk to her, I'm like, wow, this girl is smart.
Yeah.
Well, and to allege that she is using the Hales to fund her
No.
her turtle sanctuary. But let's assume it's true. Let's assume her goal was to get money for her turtle sanctuary. She sees a big YouTuber with a lot of fans there. Oh, hey, maybe I can use him. What do you think Jeremy was doing when LawTube glommed on to his lawsuits? He started using it for his own selfish means. And the second
Yes.
somebody said something different, all of a sudden
Mm.
I get copyright claimed and taken down.
Mm.
But
So
she probably had more cash in the bank than he did at that time. So no, she wasn't using him for money.
well, I
Yeah.
don't know about that, but I'm just assuming. But like I said, you know, relationships are two-way streets, right? So I can, you know, I go to these business networking things, not because I'm really interested in securing, you know, new insurance provider, right? But say, hey, I am an attorney, and this is the type of stuff that I do. And if I have a client that might need some insurance, I can refer them out to you, right? So it's a two-way street. That's how life works. That's how anybody who's trying to operate any sort of business works. That's how Jeremy works. Why is he on these other channels talking about storage lockers? Because it's a mutual dynamic two-way street relationship, and that's all that was trying to be established.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, here's the thing. People who are getting their kicks out of watching this man making fun of an elderly woman and her husband just, I don't understand it. I
And
just
she's
do
a
not
mother.
understand it. Why are you enjoying watching this man making fun of this woman? I don't get it. I
And
do not get it. And the
a mother.
name calling and the songs and the jokes and the caricatures, I just don't get it. Have you got nothing else in your life?
Well,
You got it. Excited? You just got it. You say you don't get it, but you got it. They have nothing else in their life.
Come on.
well, I think one of the underlying issues is that it gets views, right? So and that's what he's about. He's about the views. He's about the clickbait, and we could talk about that too. In like several of his videos, he's got pictures of Michelle on his thumbnail, and the video has nothing to do with Michelle.
Not a mention. Not a mention.
So
She's a hot ticket. Hot ticket.
I actually thought like
as Dave, we'll be getting into that aspect of as far as counterclaims go.
I actually thought his previous model of the storage units and the auctions was a good model. Like that was smart. That was using YouTube and eBay, etc., in a clever way to make money, and good for him. Like, but then going off on this tangent and just using an argument with somebody to go through the court hearings and sell that drama and go after somebody personally who's just a regular person. She's not some sort of celebrity or something like that who's put herself out there. She's just a person. And then play it up and play it up and play it up. And you asked him, actually, David, you said to him, if this could be over, if there was a way out, would you take it? And he said no.
Yeah.
And for me, that's the
I asked
answer.
him if he regretted ever posting anything about her, because he would often complain about having to spend $100,000 on attorney fees to deal with her. And I said, well, do you regret then posting anything? And he said, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, you know, there's always a resolution to these things. Can you guys just agree to like stay away from each other and be done with all this? And he said, no. And this is why, and blah, blah, blah.
And he wants to create a domino effect. He doesn't want resolution. He wants more and more. Domino effect, tsunami coming. The tsunami's coming. That's not what people do when they're.
Well, this has been an ongoing. He's created a storyline, a reality show on his YouTube channel, and it's given him endless content. And if you notice, since there's been a lull in the federal action because of those 12B1 motions, and there's been a lull in the Florida action because of the writ of prohibition that's still pending, he hasn't had new content. And you've even seen some of the other ones. They've rehashed some of the old stuff. And now, the last 3 days since this live stream was announced, there's not a you wouldn't know that Michelle Preston exists if you watch the last 3 days of his videos. Just storage.
But
it'll be back.
It's so much more than just the videos, because she has lost her liberties in this. You know,
that's the problem.
When you're losing your liberties and you lost your freedom on so many levels, it is more than just the videos and more than just a show.
So,
Anyway, I just wanted to say my piece because I'm going to have to go pretty shortly. But
Yeah, no, I
I
appreciate
want to
that.
really congratulate everybody who has had the guts to stand up and say something about this because it's difficult.
Sean, what are your
It's
thoughts?
confronting.
I mean, the way this all goes, none of it makes sense, really. The way it all started out, that they were so scared of this woman, and we had to come back up to Ohio to get the civil protection order, which that made no sense in and of itself.
Can you speak on that? How do you
Yeah,
think Ohio got
I don't know. I
jurisdiction?
don't know, because if I walked into any of the courts I go into, and I don't practice in Summit County that much, but typically most magistrates are going to look at you and say, okay, well, where's this happening? Oh, it's happening down in Florida. Then why are you here? Go to Florida. That's where it's happening.
Is it true that they hand out personal protection orders like candy, at
Well, that's
least
what he
in that
said.
county?
I mean,
or in Ohio?
He said it on a video.
Yeah, well, I mean, he says that, but I mean, in general, a lot of courts are going to err on the side of, things like that, just because, the magistrate doesn't want to find out, like, oh, somebody dies, and then, Channel 5 News shows up knocking on their door in the morning, like, hey, why did you deny this order? Now this person's dead. I think there's a lot of that. But also, I think of the situation at the time when Lynette and them showed up, and for what they were there for, I'm sure Hales looked like the most rational guy in the room and reasonable guy in the room. And obviously he wasn't, and he's lying and he's terrorizing these people, but I'm sure that's how things came across. Yeah.
She didn't have any counsel.
Well, that's what I mean. And I'm sure Lynette came across as a crazy lady. Not that she is, but I'm sure she came across as one. And
She's
yes,
overwhelmed. Yeah,
he had counsel,
And-
even
and-
if he didn't.
And if
Even
you read the decision, the judge even explicitly notes that, well, she doesn't know what she's doing, but it's not my job to tell a pro se how to, I mean, it's
And that's very judge specific, because one of my first things when I was watching the Florida hearings, when I was on, I think, MG Law's channel, I said, well, this seems typical of when a judge is faced with an improper party, because they don't know what they're doing. And the judge doesn't want to spend hours and hours and hours talking about nonsense. So they'll say, okay, let's break down the elements. Have you done this? Can you give me an example of that? And walk through the elements. They're not litigating on behalf of the petitioner, but what they're doing is actually trying to expedite this thing, because they know they have someone that doesn't know what they're doing. The judge in Ohio was the exact opposite. The judge in Ohio was just mean in the opposite direction, and everyone's cheering her. No. That's not the kind of judge you want. You want a judge that's fair to both parties and understands that one party is not represented and the other one is, and give them at least a little bit of difference.
And a judge does have the right to question a witness if they don't think.
Oh, they absolutely.
Yes.
I gotta get going. Thank you guys. Much appreciated.
Thanks,
I'll be
Take
in
care.
chat. Yeah, have a lovely day. It's Sunday for me. Have a good Saturday night.
Oh, you too.
See
honey.
you. Lovely
See
to
ya.
meet you all too. Bye.
Nice to see you.
So this next part of the complaint here, this is May 2023. When Hales returned from Ohio from a town meeting, Cook pulled a gun on Hales as Hales was driving by on a public road to enter Hales' property. Now, I know Jeremy has posted that video quite often. And there's been follow-up from the Levy County Sheriff that says it wasn't a threat. It wasn't pointed at you. You didn't act scared.
No.
You didn't leave the situation. And in fact, you further engaged.
No, this
Right?
this is a different incident.
Oh, this is a different incident.
There's
Okay.
two different incidents.
Tell me.
This incident, he did not have a gun with him at all. He didn't have a gun.
Is this
went
the
up
one where Jeremy approached him and was yelling when he
Well,
was on the side of the
no.
road?
Well, I'm gonna make initials of one of them. I'm gonna say BG and Jeremy were in front of John's house, and they were filming in front of John's house. And when they left, John had to go to the store, and he decided he wanted to get evidence of who was filming. And when he went by, he was going to film evidence. And when he stopped his truck on the road, he wasn't on his property. Jeremy's truck pulled up in a distance, and Jeremy got out and started heading right toward his truck. Do you know about this incident?
Yeah, is this the one where he goes off and calls him the F word?
they're kind of like kind of talking to each other, potty mouth.
Yeah, this one.
This isn't the 10 feet, 10 feet.
This
That's
one.
the other one.
Yes, this is the one.
Okay.
Well, this
So-
is the 10 feet, 10 feet one. Okay.
So,
But John
well,
didn't have a gun.
but in count or in 2 here, it says trespassed in his truck on the Hales property with a gun.
He didn't
When
have a gun.
Hales confronted him and requested him to leave, Cook told Hales that if he took one step forward, he would hear something go
No.
bang. That's the second one. The first one I thought was when Jeremy was driving by, and then John supposedly had a gun pulled out of his pocket.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right. Yep, the
Okay,
first
so I was right.
ones. You were
I
right.
was right.
Correct.
All right.
They're both in
So
one paragraph. I didn't recognize them being in one
yeah,
paragraph.
so YouTube's not going to like this, but that's okay. I'm not monetized anyways. So this is the second encounter.
For Jeremy Hales.
Yeah.
This is just proof that Jeremy Hales works for
Toe to toe, put your life where your mouth is.
this
Septic
is
brain, John Crook.
Hey, your
Tell me
lady
how many people
sucks
you
my
murdered.
cock.
Hey, you're a gay fucking fag. No kidding, people suck your cock. Come on. Toe to toe, let's
Oh
go.
yeah,
Okay, so for context, John is currently parked on the road,
Yes.
and Jeremy approaches him.
Yes.
Yeah.
He approached
And
him.
So it's not true in what he says in the complaint that it was on his property? He trespassed
No,
onto
he
his
was
property
never
in
on
the
his
truck?
property. And furthermore, Jeremy was telling him to get out of his truck, even though John never did. Get out. He wanted him to get out of his truck for a toe-to-toe, a physical fight right there. And John didn't get out of his truck. Now,
How old?
Jeremy was walking around his truck while yelling at him and telling him to come out here and let's go toe-to-toe. And he went over to John's window, passenger side. John got scared. John did not have a gun, but he said, come closer and see what goes bang, because he had no protection. He figured if he said
Well-
that, he would back away, and he did.
Also, this
How
is
old
not
is
the
John?
language of a man who's scared of a stalker.
Well, why didn't he call 911 at that
Well,
moment?
that's my point. You're
he
not.
call
He's
911?
not scared of John. He's not scared of John at all.
Did he call
How
911?
old is John Cook, Shara?
He's almost 60. And he's
How old
actually
is Jeremy?
disabled. He's disabled.
Mhm.
I don't know his. I think he's almost 50.
He's a
So
big guy.
so one, he's not acting scared because
Mhm.
he's not scared. He's confronting the person that he's claiming is harassing him.
He approached him.
He approached him. John is complete within his right to be on the road
Filming.
out in front of this house. I mean, you can see it right here. He's
Jeremy
on.
Hales.
Well, I'm trying to
Yeah.
pause it. Sorry. He's clearly on the road. Here, I could just play it without sound. He's clearly on the road, and
That's
there is a
annoying.
longer portion of this video that's out there, and you can see that John literally just drives up. Doesn't matter why John's there. John is there on a public road that he has the right to be on. John doesn't confront Jeremy. Jeremy confronts John, and then claims that he's scared. Right here, and trespassed in his truck on the Hales property with a gun. No.
No.
First of all, there's no evidence of a gun, period. And he's not on the property. He's on the roadway. I think Jeremy has a fundamental misunderstanding about what a roadway is, a public roadway. And when Hales confronted him, okay, so you admit that you confronted him, requested him to leave. Did he
Yeah,
request him to leave?
No, he requested him to get out of the truck for a toe-to-toe.
Let's listen to this again. Did he request him to leave?
No, he wanted him to get out of the truck for a toe-to-toe.
This is just proof that
Let's go toe to toe anytime. No, get out of here. Get off my land. None of that's being said.
No.
Jeremy
Life
Hales
where your mouth is.
works
Toe to toe.
for
Toe to toe.
Put your money where your mouth is, toe to toe.
Put your life where your mouth is.
this
Septic
is
brain, John Crook.
Hey, your
Tell me
lady
how many people you
sucks my
murdered.
cock.
Hey, you're a gay fucking fag. No kidding, people suck your cock. Come on. Toe to toe, let's
Oh
go.
yeah.
Inviting him onto his property, if I were to be objective about this.
Yeah, I wonder what would have happened. Thank God he didn't get out of
Yes, an initiation. I would argue, yeah, come fight me. It's a challenge.
And I know it's not really the most relevant thing, but my goodness, the what he said, it's what do you do if he ran across a couple of gay guys walking, with their arms around each other, public? I mean, he's pretty. This is a pretty aggressive, anti-gay slur.
Yeah.
What is really disturbing to me is to lie. Well, I'm like, pardon that I said that, to say John had a gun when he didn't on a court record.
Yeah. And
I know
confront them.
I know because I was on the phone with Michelle at the beginning of this, and the gun was at home. It wasn't. John didn't have his gun. I was on the phone when the early part of this started. I was literally on the phone with her doing an interview.
Maliciously threatened to do injury to Hales' reputation with intent thereby to extort pecuniary advantage, and accordingly publicly stated falsely. Well, first of all, if we want to give more context to this, there is a video before and a video after, and it's posted on my Rumble and Facebook and other places. You can watch the entire length of the video. But this is when there's accusations regarding the town and the mayor and what the shenanigans going on with that. And John sees the mayor at the time, or the mayor's husband. I might be mistaken. Either the mayor or the mayor's husband. It has something to do with the town. Going over to John's property and says, hey, or I mean, Jeremy's property, and says, hey, we got a public official going over to Jeremy's property. Let's see what's going on. He's still parked on the road. He never went on the property.
No.
Maliciously threatened to do injury to Hales' reputation with the intent thereby to extort pecuniary advantage, and accordingly publicly stated falsely on Facebook that Hales' fiance had oral sex with him, and that he had photographs to prove it. Where's let's see. Cook posted, Jeremy, would you like me to post a picture of my in George's mouth? I'm not sure that that's a affirmative statement that he has it. Was that? Do you know what that's in relation to? Do you know anything about that post?
I think sometimes I think both of them dueling had potty mouth, both of them. So,
I mean, but I could be like, hey, you keep talking crap. I'm going to send you a picture of your girlfriend or something like that. I see Zach in the chat, right? So Zach in the chat right now, him and we mess with each other. He knows I like being trolled. So he'll intentionally troll me and I'll troll him back. I said the other day that Zach needs to get back in the bed. He's being a bad boy. Is that like publicly saying like he's in my bed, or is that just, there we go. 60-second slow-mo. There's Zach.
A lot was said about John's wife. So, I got to say, for John, a lot was said about Michelle that was very hard for John, I'm sure. I mean, they were saying a lot of horrific things about Michelle, like terrible things. So, it kind of was.
I don't know, Sean, as an attorney, do you want to weigh in on this whole thing about posting this on social? I mean, what are your thoughts here? To me, it seems like just trash talking and harmless. Is it threatening?
I mean, just the last part about no, that's just a bunch of shit talking. I mean, really, that's
potty mouth.
It's just them going back. Sorry to say it like that, but that's not as. I mean, of all the things here, this is like the smallest thing to really be worried about.
Right.
Now, if he really did have photos and he was blackmailing them, maybe that's a different story. But it was just an empty, stupid,
George would then have to have engaged in this activity.
Yes,
which,
then we need
to be fair, I don't.
How do you authenticate this photo?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't see George doing that. I don't know her, but to be fair, I'm gonna weigh on her not have done that. Now 28 here. This, to be fair, could be very troublesome if Jeremy can prove it. So after Hales left Florida to go back to Ohio in May 2023, Preston wrote many double-sided road signs and placed them along the road surrounding the Hales property. Now, these road signs, allegedly, I haven't seen but one.
I haven't heard this part. This is new to me.
Yeah, so I've seen the one that Jeremy is hung up, or not hung up, but he's held up in one of his videos. But I've only seen the one. Mm-hmm. Jeremy Hales raped my daughter. Jeremy Hales has to go. What the Hales? This one actually is nothing. That doesn't even matter. The first one is a problem.
She did not do that.
Well, hang on. Jeremy Hales, Ohio rapist. No Ohio rapist in Levy County. Jeremy Hales needs to go. No child rapist in Levy County. I think there's one more. Stop Jeremy Hales. No rapist in Levy County. Okay.
Where's the Where's the one with the 2 P's though that he keeps making jokes about? That was called a rapist. And he likes to do that a lot. He does it all the time. He mentions it.
If I had this in a
Alright.
complaint, what I would also have next to it is boom picture, boom picture, boom picture.
That's what I was going to say. Are there no pictures of these signs being up? Now,
Mhm.
I've seen one in his hands that he held up on a
From a
video,
bag. Yes.
but I haven't seen pictures of them throughout the town.
There weren't any.
There's no pictures of anything but the one. Is that nobody's
No,
seen any pictures except for one?
And it's not a picture of it being like
For
on the
evidence.
street that I've seen anyways. And I might be wrong. There might be pictures out there, but I
No.
have the only thing that I've seen in his videos when he's talking about this is one sign that he holds up. And I can't remember which one it is, which, whatever it says on there. Maybe Jeremy Hales, Ohio rapist, I think is the one that he holds up. And
Okay,
might
but
be-
I want to clear this up. Shara, he keeps talking about the word rapist being spelled with 2 P's, and he makes that joke a lot. So is that the one that he held up? Is that the one that he held up that Dave's referring to?
No, I know he pulled a sign out of a bag on his video, and I do not remember two P's being in it.
Okay, but you know what I'm referring to. He does it a lot. He
I've
mentions
heard
this.
him
Oh,
saying,
she called me a rapist, and then he like does a little beatboxing.
right. Well,
How are you missing this? I've seen it like 5 times. He's mentioned it.
I've seen it, but I have to say something about this. They only wrote one sign that was in their yard, and it was about town hall. They didn't write these signs.
No, I wouldn't think that could be anybody. It could have been him having somebody do it, so we'd have a way to put it into a federal court complaint. Right?
The umbrella gal jumped out for a second.
He could have had anybody come there, post signs, so that he could then claim that they did it and put it into a federal court complaint.
Well,
I mean,
if you look
how
at
is he going to?
of how everything else is going, things that they didn't do that they're in trouble for. If you're looking at that rhythm, I would say it's all following the same. So she didn't write those signs.
Yeah, and how is he going to prove it? How does he plan to prove it? He talks about a handwriting expert. Please don't make me laugh.
That won't stand up.
What do you think?
I mean, isn't he supposed to have cameras out?
That's not an exact science, by the way. Right. He has cameras out, and he had cameras out all along. So why did the camera spot her putting
these cameras? Did the cameras catch who did this?
You got a good criminal mind over there.
No, I know. I'm just thinking, like, well, how does he prove it? Are there cameras? Are there like barcodes stuck on the back of these signs, and we can call up the sign company and say, "Hey, who sold these, or who bought these, or whatever?" And they say like Bob's Sign Emporium in Hee Hawville, Florida, and it's like, yeah, Lynette came and bought them.
Well, once you're through the complaint, Dave, I mean, I have an assessment. I have my theory for what the whole point and motive of this, federal complaint is, and it wasn't to recover damages for defamation, interference with business.
Sure. So, okay, but like I said, if this is proven, I don't know how he would prove it, but if it is proven, then this could be a problem. Let's see. Accordingly, on or about May 23rd, 2023, Hales hired an attorney to send the cease and desist letter. Okay. I was looking to see if there was any sort of extortion in the cease and desist letter, because oftentimes people write them in a very extortion-y kind of way, but there is none in this, at least assuming this is the actual letter, text for text, but it just says, hey, stop doing this. On or about 29th of May, 2023, Preston posted on social media, I'm going to stand tall and not let Jeremy Hales hurt me ever again. She will put a cap. Put a cap is in quotation marks. And the rest of it is not, which is interesting. In the ass of anyone who messes with her. And I'm done with it. You met your match, Mr. Hales. So put a cap is in quotations, but the rest of it is not, which I find interesting. Any thoughts on that? Either of the lawyers?
That wasn't aimed at him at all. Like that, like he said, this is presenting like it was aimed at him because of what he wrote on number 3 afterwards, and it wasn't. She was afraid. She was getting threatening calls, constant threatening calls, and she was just letting people know that she could protect herself if anybody comes onto her property at 3 a.m., which some people did. People had their cars in front of her yard and got out of their cars at like 3 a.m. Like, this is scary.
Well, okay, but I get that, but the whole like right now we're dealing with put a cap. I don't know the context of this. I haven't seen it.
It was a picture. She had a picture, and she was really letting the public know that she was going to defend herself if anybody tries to harm her on her property. I mean,
Okay.
she wasn't threatening him. It wasn't toward him. It was
It wasn't
her.
directed toward him. Is
Not at
the
all.
position.
No.
Not even as alleged. Not even as
Not at
alleged.
all.
It's like-
Yeah.
No.
I mean, it is in a separate context, right? So there's 3 distinct posts. One, I'm
Right.
going to stand tall and not let Jeremy Hales hurt me ever again. That's a distinct and separate post than put a cap. And then a distinct and separate post from I'm done with it. You met your match, Mr. Hales.
It's put together in a way to make it look as if she was saying that about him, though, the way they sandwiched it in there. Just
You might have been
Okay.
right about number 3.
What's that?
She might have been right about number 3.
I'm done with it. You met your match. Yeah.
Met your
well,
match.
Yeah, she might have. Despite knowing the falsity of their statement, Preston and Cook used their defamatory statements to persuade Hales customers to stop supporting Hales. I think that's covered under a First Amendment protection. If you, like, I'm going to tell people, maybe you don't want to watch the Hales. Is that protected? I would think it would be from a legal standpoint. I'm not sure anyone on the panel would disagree with me, but I'd like to know thoughts.
is
These
there
guys
evidence?
stuff, don't watch them. Okay, that's don't watch the Hales. They're
He's a-
assholes.
I mean,
He's
is
a
there
public figure.
Yeah, well,
Where's the
even if he
evidence
wasn't a public figure, that's not a. You shouldn't watch this show. It's not good. They're not good people. That is not a
Perfectly
defamatory
fine.
statement. Yeah.
So then it makes a conclusionary statement that in addition, Hales had suffered injury and harm to his reputation, and he has incurred costs associated with intensive efforts to mitigate against such injury and harm. So this is where the $75,000 comes in. My understanding is that he's claiming the attorney fees that he had to expend in Ohio and in Florida with the personal protection order is his damages. In this case, at least those are according to his statements that he's made. Sean, want to weigh in? I mean, can you get your damages as like to that in that manner? Like setting aside for a second, like, okay, my revenue from YouTube has gone down as a result of the things that you said, right? Set that aside for a second. He's claiming that he has incurred attorney fees from having to battle her in state court. Can he now claim that as damages in federal court? I don't think so.
I don't think so. And the other thing is, though, all these arguments about the lost income, you have to do what Johnny Depp did to show lost income. You're going to need, like, Jeremy Hales is going to have to go out and find statisticians and people who can explain exactly how much did you lose? Not, oh, yeah, he lost money. Well, no, how much money to the penny? So this idea, like, people, I want to prove lost wages. I'm like, that's you need Johnny Depp levels of money for that, because at Johnny Depp's trial, half of his defense was all the industry experts. So he's going to need YouTube experts to come in and do that, and there's no way he's going to find them or be able to pay for them.
Yeah, that was my thought. Well, so as a general rule, like the American rule on attorney fees is that's the cost of doing business. Don't expect to get your attorney fees unless it's provided for in a contract or a statute.
Or if the conduct's got to be horribly egregious on one side or another.
But
and
then it's just
here,
it's a sanction thing then by the court, essentially for like contempt of court.
Well,
Punitive
that
damage.
or if you're the defendant and you're absolutely just a whore, like the court might see that. But even reading all this, let's presume it's all true. This is not the worst thing in the world that's ever happened, as far as people getting harassed or defamed. So
right.
It's
So now
it's like gaslighting to me. I'm sorry, but I have to say it. It's gaslighting.
So now Preston and Cook acts violated Florida's extortion statute, which makes it a felony to maliciously threaten to accuse another of a crime or offense with the intent to extort money or pecuniary advantage. Now, here's the problem I have. So if we click on the statute itself, this is the statute itself. So whoever verbally or in writing or printed communication maliciously threatens to accuse another of a crime or offense or by such commission maliciously threatens to injure a person or property. That doesn't work. With the intent thereby to extort money or pecuniary advantage whatsoever, then you're essentially in violation of this. What is the pecuniary advantage that's being alleged in this complaint? Other than she didn't get a free leap pad. It wasn't able to set out one donation box, right?
Right.
I mean,
But-
is that the pecuniary advantage that they're hanging their entire hat on?
Every single rescue sets out a donation box everywhere they can if they can. I mean, but so put that aside. She didn't. What'd she do? She didn't do anything.
Well, not even that. I don't see, setting aside what she did or didn't do,
I know, the
I
statute-
don't see any specific allegations in this complaint saying she asked for more donate. I mean, he talks about one donation box and he
Yeah.
talks about one leap pad. And we have the text where she offered to purchase the leap pad or leapfrog or whatever the hell the damn thing's called. So there's no pecuniary advantage to purchasing something. The second one is the donation box at one event. That's it.
Yeah.
That to me doesn't rise to the level of pecuniary advantage. Just alleged in the complaint. That's it. I think this complaint might fail on its face. I don't know who's got the background noise on.
I mean,
But Sean, I don't know. What are your thoughts on this as a fellow Midwestern attorney?
I don't see the pecuniary. I don't see the advantage here either.
Yeah. So now this one's
I have a-
interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question. I want to jump off what you just said, Dave. What you're referring to is even putting aside the jurisdiction question, you're thinking it might be failing to state a claim, a 12b6.
12b6, yeah, failing to state.
And
a
I'm
claim
wondering
upon
if you
which
can do
relief
the
can be
12b6
granted.
consecutively. I wonder if they lost their motion to dismiss on jurisdiction, whether they can then bring a 12b6 or whether they'd have to just wait. Till
My
I
understanding
think you
is
got to
is
do
that-
it all at once in federal.
I don't know that you have to do it all at once. I still think you have to do it though before you file the answer. But I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the federal court rules with regard to that in a little bit of time.
But then he could just do it on a summary judgment. Listen, this is my thing. Summary judgments are my thing. This will
You
be
can do a summary
motion
judgment.
for summary
Okay, so we're talking legally here. All right, so there's two
Yeah, you can do
general
that.
ways in which you file in this is state and federal courts. Two general ways in which you can dispense with the case without a trial. The first one, generally, right? The first one is like jurisdiction. We talked about that. But substantively, you can say that the party has failed to state a claim upon which relief can be granted, which means that your complaint itself is insufficient to support any cause of action. And that's what we're talking about here. You're not laying out the specific facts that you need to in order to maintain a case. And since you failed to do that, your case must be dismissed. Now, oftentimes the court will allow parties to cure that, to refile it or do things like that. It's not the end all of the case. It's a procedural hurdle that you can get through. The second one, substantively, is no dispute in fact, and no genuine dispute in fact, which means like a trial is for determining what the facts actually are, because we know what the law is, supposedly. We know what the law says. And if the judge, if both parties agree on the facts, then the only thing to do is apply the agreed upon facts to the law. So if there's no dispute in fact, then you can say, Judge, there's no dispute in fact. We agree on all the facts. Now make a legal decision on this case. And so we're talking about two different things. And the second one you can file at any time, generally. The first one, you need to file before your answer, generally. Before you file an answer, you need to say, Judge, this complaint even fails to make a cohesive argument, so dismiss it.
Couple things on that, Dave.
Mhm.
Okay. It's not that they'll agree on the facts. It's that the judge will determine there are no genuine issues of dispute on material facts. So lawyers who are opposing filing and then
You're
opposing
getting
a
too
summary
technical
judgment.
for my audience, man. No, I'm just kidding.
I got you. But and as far as when you can file it, there's usually a schedule. A litigation schedule. There'll be a deadline. But the difference is what you're talking about, the motion to dismiss, failure to state a claim, is before any discovery. It's before you're sucked in and the long term and the expenses. And why should you have to be if they haven't stated facts to support a claim? But summary judgment comes after there's been a chance to conduct discovery, depositions, and frankly, I see his claims going down on a Federal Rules Civil Procedure 56 summary judgment motion, and I've done many of those over my career. Many.
Yeah. So that's what we're talking about. There's like 8 of them. I'm like trying to remember. There's like 8 different ways to dismiss a case right away. Some of them are procedural issues. Some of them are substantive, like we just talked about, like the no diversity jurisdiction, or you don't meet the damage threshold. That's a procedural one that's already been filed, waiting on the judge to decide that. By the way, federal cases take forever. This judge might not decide this thing for another couple of months.
I have a theory on that.
Yeah.
I think that the judge might I don't know, but it's a good theory. I think that the judge saw what's going on. There's a pro se being sued, and that the 12B1 motions were filed. They had the wherewithal somehow to get those filed, and the judge gave him some time to find some lawyers, and those motions could have been decided a week later.
Yeah, they could have been, but as a general rule, at least my experience, federal courts take forever. I filed a motion in federal court in October, and it wasn't until I think like April 1st that the court made a decision. And it wasn't really it wasn't a difficult decision. It was like when they finally came out with an opinion, it was like 1.5 pages.
Right.
It
could depend too how big of a motion, how many issues involved. Is it 30-page memorandum or 2 pages? But this one was like this couldn't have been more straightforward.
Yeah,
3 pages. I think it was 2 pages.
So this gets interesting here. This part of the complaint. So now we're on paragraph 38. Preston and Cook acts violated with the statute we just talked about, maliciously threatening to injure Hales with the intent to extort money. Now, so that's the criminal act that they're alleging, right? Okay. So Preston and Cook acts constitute at least 2 distinct criminal acts in violation of this Florida statute. Now, why 2? Why 2 distinct acts? First of all, there wasn't even the first one because we have the receipts, Jeremy. We have the receipts to show right here. She offered to buy it. And whether you gave it to her or not, she offered to buy it. But 2 distinct acts. So the reason is, oh wait, sorry, I did the wrong thing. There we go. All right, so So this is the first one, and then the second one, that prohibits utterances and communications which constitute malicious threats to do injury to another person, reputation, or property. As relevant here, Florida law makes it unlawful for any person through a pattern of criminal activity to acquire or maintain directly or indirectly any interest in or control of any enterprise or real property, or for a person employed by or associated with any enterprise or conduct, or participate directly or indirectly in such enterprise through a pattern of criminal activity. What does that sound like, Sean?
I mean, it's
Pattern.
This is the statute, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh no,
so-
wait. So I messed up my link. All right, hang on. This is the statute. Here we go. This is a prohibited activity. This is Florida's RICO Act.
RICO.
I'm gonna say, and
they're alleging
this is
Michelle is
basically like Georgia's, where it's like 2 people commit a crime, therefore RICO.
Yeah, they're alleging her to violate RICO. Now, if you guys
Here's
don't know
the
what
thing. Here's
RICO
the thing,
is,
though.
Go for it.
In civil law, RICO's never the answer. It's never RICO. This is whether you have an attorney or not. RICO never works. The answer is never RICO.
Never RICO. If you have to go to RICO, you have screwed up. I mean, you really don't have a cause of action. Now, RICO is short. I don't remember what the acronym actually stands for, but
racketeer influenced corrupt organization.
Yes.
The mob.
Organized crime. It's supposed to be organized
crime.
Yes.
So they're alleging her of participating in organized crime like the mafia. That's what this is doing. And when you have to allege this, you've already lost your case. And that's my opinion. But the statute does it's extremely weak. It requires 2 or more criminal activities with the goal of essentially earning money. You're operating a criminal business, right? So you have to earn money by engaging in criminal conduct that amounts to essentially a business, a criminal enterprise. And so that's why they had to allege 2 distinct acts. I think they fail on the first one, The second one, even if it's there. So what he's trying to say is that her wanting to put out the donation thing and him saying no and therefore harassing, let's assume they prove some way through handwriting experts or whatever, that it's her, right? Or him, John or Michelle. They have to prove one that it was as a result of the donation box being denied. I don't even know if they can do that, because did she ask again? I mean, if she asked once and they said no, do they have any communication that she asked again?
No.
That you're okay. So you're saying that you're aware of. There's been no additional attempt to ask again. And even then, I still don't see this going to RICO. This is such a case. No jury is going to say that this woman is operating a criminal enterprise in this fashion by trying to extort the Hales because they said no to a donation box and didn't give her a leap pad or leapfrog or whatever it's called.
Or didn't allow her to pay for it.
Or didn't allow her to pay for it because she offered to pay for it. We saw the text. And then he claims that
that's such a crime.
I know. I saw that. I was like, I looked up the statute, right? And I was like, what is the statute? This doesn't make any sense. And I'm reading it. I'm like, oh my God, this is RICO. They're alleging RICO. All right. So the rest of this basically goes through oral written publication, false statements. They're going back to the sign thing. False statements were made with knowledge.
They're just tracking technical pleading language now to meet the elements.
Yeah, that's all.
The facts were stated, and now they're tracking.
But there's no additional facts. So, so there's no additional facts alleged in here at supporting the actual acts, right? So basically, they have the signs, which good luck proving, and they have her wanting to put out a donation box, which they said no to, and she didn't like. If she had said, "But pretty please," it would have been in this complaint. I have to imagine, right? If she responded after they said no, and she's like, "But please, you're my only hope," it would have been in this, and it's not. And then it's just not enough. It's just not enough to sustain a complaint, and that's why I think, Bruce, you said that this was geared towards views. You think that this was all done?
So well, my theory is that, look, I mean, this is it's just an empty complaint. I mean, I think that this was to create content for his own channel and for all the others who are covering it that are piling on his side of things. By the way, I contacted all of those and offered to come on for the different perspective before I was engaged, and none of them even considered having me on. They all just wanted to do their piling on and name calling. So in any event, yes, I believe that this was never thought that it could possibly succeed now, except to the extent that they were hoping she would not be able to respond to it, would not be able to have the wherewithal to file a motion, to delay the time to have to answer the complaint, which is what happened when the 12B1 motion to dismiss was filed. It just stalled her time to have to respond. I don't think he expected that. I don't think he expected. He keeps making fun of her. She'll never find a lawyer. What lawyer is gonna? She has no money for a lawyer. She found a lawyer, and she's got 2 lawyers. I'm one of them, and we're not going to tell the name of the other one, but the other one will be the appearing counsel of record in the federal litigation at the appropriate time, and I will be non-appearing because I'm not a Florida licensed lawyer, but I am going to be active and doing a lot of the work.
Now, you talked about some counterclaims.
Right.
Lynette's going to be bringing some counterclaims, is your understanding? Or
yes,
I say Lynette,
Michelle. Yeah, let me clarify too, in case anybody's wondering. I and the other lawyer that will appear, we represent Michelle Preston. We don't represent John Cook. The reason is because there could be potential for conflicts later on. You don't know what could happen, but we believe Mr. Cook will it will just ride the coattails basically of Miss Preston's counsel's filings and so forth. He's free to adopt, cut and paste. There's no issues there, and I think most of the same arguments will pertain. The counter look, he has.
Well, before that, I want to know if Sean can predict any of the counterclaims. You have to put you on the spot. I mean, do you see? I mean, you've seen enough of this case. I mean, you've seen enough of the situation. Do you think that there are counterclaims?
I mean, certainly. I mean, there's probably going to be. I think he's engaged in a stalking campaign, more or less. A lot of this is just a lot of projection and turning it around instead of like
gaslighting.
Well, he says you're stalking. No, you. I mean, that's one of them.
Right on the head.
That's probably one of the biggest ones. I don't know if there's any sort of harassment claims out of Florida.
Listen.
They might have a different statute for that on top of it.
Her tortoise at rescue. I mean, he's
Yeah. Defamation, economic interference because she's trying to run a nonprofit.
Serious problems there.
Yeah.
You got it.
I don't know if there's other comments made by Jeremy Hales. I could see him engaging in extortion, but I don't know.
Well, that was
all
my
what you guys
thought.
have
Is
out
he
there.
trying to extort her? Well, that's actually an allegation made against his attorney. And that's why his attorney has been kicked off the case in one of the state actions. But we actually put together a list here.
Counterclaims. Sean mentioned about stalking, and there's this. We're going to show the statute, I'm sure, about turning a criminal stalking into a civil cause in Florida. There's a specific.
Well, yeah. So if we go back to the to Jeremy's complaint, there is a this action for damages against Cook is seated 75. Wait, hang on, where is it?
It counts one and four. It's one for each.
Yeah. So there's actually a statute in Florida which allows for violations of criminal acts. Maybe I can't. I'll pull it down here real quick.
I'll send it to you right now.
Well, it's the same chapter as the RICO statute, which is interesting. But it allows for civil actions against. That's what I thought it was at first when they were citing. I was like, did they cite the wrong law? And then I realized no, they're quoting it because the same statute or the same section chapter of the statutory code there in Florida regarding the RICO Act also says that a violation of one of Florida's criminal code can be used as the basis of a civil lawsuit. That's essentially what it says. And it's cited in, you said 3 and 4. It's cited.
No, I think it's they have one count against Preston and one counts against Cook that are identical. So I think counts 1 and counts 4 are probably the same.
Yeah. So a violation of Florida statute by constituting endeavor to violate. Yeah. Anyways, it doesn't matter. The statutory code doesn't matter. What is important is to know that there is a Florida statute that says that if you violate criminal code, it's grounds for someone to sue you. And so going through that, there are a lot of criminal statutes that I believe Jeremy might be guilty of, especially on a civil matter. And remember, the threshold is lower. So, but first and foremost, common law invasion of privacy, appropriation of another's name and likeness for benefit. These elements are pulled straight out of this case. It was a 1993 case. The elements for the tort of invasion of privacy by the disclosure of private facts are as follows. The publication, broadcasting on YouTube, of private facts, her child, her property, her, whatever, of an offensive, that are offensive and are not of public concern. The right of privacy does not protect against publication of public records that are matter of legitimate public interest, such as news stories and things like that. So this is the first sort of common law invasion of privacy counterclaim against Jeremy. The next one, I didn't enable scrolling. There we go. Common law invasion of privacy, public disclosure of private facts. So invasion of privacy typically involves the publication of information to third parties that is considered personal and offensive. To prove successful claim, private facts that are offensive in nature. So the standard of these claims is based on a reasonable individual of normal sensibility. So if a reasonable person of normal sensibility would conclude, this is a reasonable person standard, so this is an objective standard, would conclude that the publication of these particular facts would be offensive, then there's grounds for a counterclaim here, and I believe there's plenty of that. I don't know. I mean, showing showing they have a camera trained across the street at Tubetown on her property at all times. There's a bunch of other YouTubers that are also displaying footage from this at all times on her property. And I would consider that offensive as a reasonable, prudent person. So,
That's a claim backed up by facts.
yeah. Now we have common law invasion of privacy, intrusion by electronic means. So this is an interesting case. All right, so this is a 2021 case. This is a neighbor dispute case. This is where the neighbors are disputing the property line. One built the fence and the other one said, you can no longer use part of my fence and you got to move your fence and this and that. Then they put up a 6-foot privacy fence, and then the defendant put a camera 25 feet in the air, trained right down in the neighbor's backyard over the privacy fence. And this is what the court... So this is what the court had to say, that the tort of invasion of privacy, as comprised of several different forms. Intrusion upon seclusion is defined as where a person intentionally intrudes physically. Who's got the vacuum going in the background?
Someone's got a train going by.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'll turn mine up. Just
physically or otherwise upon the solitude or seclusion of another, or of his private affairs or concerns, if the intrusion would be highly offensive to a reasonable person. In this case, the court found that it would be highly invasive to put this fence up there because it served, or not the fence, to put the camera up there. Notably, this form of invasion of privacy does not depend on public given of any publicity given to the person whose interest is invaded. So there's a cause of action even if Jeremy doesn't publish it on YouTube. Just by taking the video, it's an invasion of privacy in Florida. So there is no need for the trial court to find that the video from the offending camera have ever been published to a third party. Furthermore, there is a reasonable expectation of privacy within the curtilage of a resident. And the curtilage is like the lawn you mow. It's the immediate land around your property. Is there a better definition, Sean?
No, it's where your house, it's like your porch, the area around your porch, walking around the edges of your house where you go, where the garbage cans are stored, your deck, your patio, all the parts that are an extension of your home. I mean, and curtilage comes from, a lot of us would know it from Fourth Amendment law, where the police can go, where they can't go.
Yeah. Yeah. So if this area, and she has fences up now and things like that, and they're training a camera right past those fences. You can see it in various YouTube channels that I'm not going to mention. I believe that would be a violation of this. So the curtilage of the residence, and we conclude that there is a material difference between occasional viewing the activities within a neighbor's backyard that are observable without peering over a privacy fence, and erecting a camera to see over the privacy fence and thereafter surveil and record those activities on a constant basis. The other thing is that this camera was recording 24/7, 7 days a week, every single day. The court also points out this other Florida case from 1998, recognizing that engaging in repeated surveillance of another person can constitute a tortious invasion of privacy intrusion upon seclusion. And then this United States case out of the Fifth Circuit, for the purpose of video surveillance of someone's backyard is different from a one-time overhead glance, and that society would recognize the homeowner's expectation to be free from such video surveillance to be reasonable. So this, I think, is one of the strongest causes of action that Michelle has against Jeremy, particularly right now. Because there is that camera across the street, literally filming them all the time. There's been videos. I think I posted a video. No, maybe I didn't post it. He mounted the camera and aimed it directly at her. Intentional infliction of emotional distress. I'm not sure about this one because the emotional distress has to be severe, and that looks different in every state. I don't know if it means a physical manifestation of the emotional distress, such as, vomiting, seizures, things like that. Sometimes states require that, but I'm not entirely sure of the emotional distress angle in Florida.
Under serious emotional stress and distress.
Well, like sometimes it involves like you have to go see a therapist, and the therapist has to say these psychological issues that she now suffers she didn't suffer from beforehand, and things like that. If there's pre-existing, it's a weaker case. Emotional distress is a little bit weaker argument, but I definitely think it's something that's worth exploring. And then defamation. What happened here? My text is
The
also-
general distinction is garden variety versus
This is a great summation of the case that Jeremy's put together. Gibberish.
Yeah, this is what this
Where
is.
does this come from?
I don't know. In my conversion, somehow all the text got screwed up. It's interesting.
Let me respond for a second to emotional distress. So garden variety emotional distress is, you can prove that without expert witnesses, without going to the psychiatrist, without having nightmares and so forth. But those aren't typically going to get you a large damages award. If you have to get psychiatric help because of the distress, because of the actions, then now you're talking about much more significant damages. But I think a jury can, in Florida and elsewhere, decide that someone has suffered emotional distress and it's compensable, and the amount is always the wild card.
Sorry, David, it broke up for a second. Did we touch on the daughter yet? Lynette's daughter's issues?
No, we have
Jeremy writing that one out so hard I forget, it's like a metabolic disorder or whatever that was.
Yes.
I would argue Lynette or her daughter probably has an IIED claim because of just also you could do the invasion of privacy, putting things out in a public light.
It's actually covered under the
issues.
So this is the stalking statute from Florida. So this is a criminal statute, which again, as we've talked about, you can bring a civil action in violation of a criminal statute. So harass means to engage in a course of conduct directly or directed at a specific person, which causes substantial emotional distress to that person and serves no legitimate purpose. Course of conduct means a pattern of conduct composed of series of acts over a period of time, however short, which evidence a continuity of purpose. The term does not include constitutionally protected activities such as picketing or organized protests. Credible threat means a verbal or nonverbal threat, or a combination of the two, including threats delivered by electronic communication or implied by a pattern of conduct which places a person who is the target of the threat in reasonable fear of his or her safety or the safety of his or her family members or individuals closely associated with them. So now going through, this isn't the entire statute. I did take out stuff that wasn't relevant, but you can go look it up if you want the whole thing. So cyberstalking means to engage in a course of conduct to communicate or to cause to be communicated directly or indirectly, words, images, language, by or through the use of electronic mail or electronic communications directly at or pertaining to a specific person. Okay. So we're not saying that he's using these YouTube videos to communicate with her, but it's pertaining to her. Right. To access or attempt to access an online account of interest. Yeah, we're not worried about that. But causes substantial emotional stress to the person and serves no legitimate purpose. A person who willfully, maliciously, or repeatedly follows, harasses, or cyberstalks another person commits the offense of stalking. A person who willfully, maliciously, or repeatedly follows, harasses, or cyberstalks another person and makes a credible threat to that person commits the offense of aggravated stalking. I'm not saying that's aggravated stalking necessarily. It could be, depending on how you break it down. But it's definitely borderlining on stalking.
Can I ask you a question? What if somebody states over and over again that he's going to get her gone one way or another?
Yeah, evict her from her home and take her property, something like that.
Or get her gone one way or another, and the town is going to lynch her.
Have her arrested, have her child taken away.
She's going in jail forever. Going in jail forever.
I mean, do you find those as credible threats there, Sean?
I do. If it were me, I would feel very threatened.
From a legal standpoint, though.
Well,
threatening to take a child away, threatening to have to take their property and have them removed from the area, I feel like is a credible threat. Threatening to have her thrown in jail might borderline on extortion, but I don't necessarily think it was be a credible threat under the stalking statute. That's my initial sort of legal take.
Well, it's kind of threats to have her falsely arrested over and over, like he's doing with this Ohio thing. He's leveraging this Ohio thing to threaten her with getting arrested every day. Yep. So I think that's a credible threat. Or threats of false claims that will get her arrested. I'm going to get you arrested. I'm going to get you arrested. Doesn't matter if the rest would stick or not. It's a traumatic thing. It's a horrible thing to get arrested and go through that.
Now, so Jeremy is currently facing criminal charges under 4 here. So a person who has an injunction or protective against repeated sexual, this is domestic violence, doesn't matter. It is or any other order, willfully, let's see, or other court imposed prohibition of conduct towards the subject person or the person's property, knowingly, willfully, and maliciously and repeatedly following, harassing, cyber stalking another person commits an offense of aggravated stalking. So this is the aggravated stalking. Now he's not being charged with aggravated stalking, but because his conduct is violating the protective order, it could be aggravated stalking. Now he's being alleged to have violated the protective order by having his attorney and George take photos and videos of Lynette, right? That's my understanding. There's the 2 counts that are still outstanding. And he doesn't seem to understand what agency law is or what vicarious liability is. But the statute makes it clear that either you doing this directly or causing another to do it is a violation of this act, and it would be a violation of the statute.
Mhm.
Or I mean, not the statute, of the what do you call it? The court order. Where's my court order? Oh yeah, here we go.
Right, the 6
So-
added words. When they changed it, it would cover this situation. And Judge Atsamis was regularly referring to.
I mean, there's also just a brilliant point, and it's an organize a conspiracy of people going together to further a criminal objective.
Yeah,
that's RICO. RICO's a conspiracy at the end of the day. So
is Jeremy Jeremy engaging in RICO violations?
Well, I mean, if he's working with other people, that's how it's.
That's true. And I would argue that it's more of a criminal enterprise for him than it is for her.
It's part of his furthering his media empire.
You see what he did by filing this frivolous federal lawsuit. He just basically said, "I invite you to sue me back for all of these things."
Yeah.
John, do you want to explain vicarious liability, or not even that, but agency law?
Yeah, I mean, agency law, if you have an, there's also vicarious liability and like respondeat superior. If you have an agent, somebody doing work on your behalf or doing something on your behalf, you're responsible for what they do as long as it's foreseeable in their job. So if you have a cleaning company and you hire some lady to go be a cleaner and she steals all the crap out of someone's house, you're on the hook for that. If that person, you hire somebody and they go in and murder one of your clients, you're on the hook. Now, you're not charged of murder, but you're civilly responsible for the damage caused. And that's just common through agency law. But, when you get to employees, it's a little more formal. But if I ask you to go do something for me, if I just ask you to go do something for me, you're my agent. Yeah. If I say, hey, David, can you take care of something for me? Legally, you are my agent and you're taking care of it on my behalf.
Yeah. So you don't have to be an employee. You don't have to have any formal contractual relationship. They don't have to be paid. They could be completely voluntary. My mods right now are agents of mine. Everybody you see with the blue wrench in YouTube or whatever it is in Rumble, they're all agents of me. So I'm vicariously liable for what they say and or what they do or who they pull through. Who they strike, but they know the rules. And I have no concern for them, but I'm vicariously liable. That's what agency law is. So when Jeremy says, I don't employ anybody, therefore I can't be vicariously liable because it's not my employees doing this thing. That's not what it means. Or when he says to me on the YouTube stream that, hey, I reached out to Michelle just to get her side of the story. I'm not acting as his agent. He hasn't given me that command as my boss or superior in any way. So he doesn't have liability. So that's the distinction there. So, but when it's his attorney is his agent. And his girlfriend, if she's acting at his direction, is his agent.
If she's furthering his goals or trying to. And that's the thing. It doesn't have to be successful. You're just trying to help Jeremy. That makes,
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What if Jeremy's attorneys are contacting the county and the town to try to get her off her land? I mean, what is that?
That's an agency liability right there. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're acting on behalf of him.
Yeah, He's
I've
just,
never heard of anyone of an attorney doing that before, calling a county.
that's because nobody's losing their law license for Jeremy Hales.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
No,
think
it is happening. It's happening.
if they're trying to do it, that is a
They're calling the county and collecting her permits and everything, and they're all, they want her to get her off her land. What are they doing?
Yeah, okay, but to be fair, so if someone, okay,
if she's
for
breaking
example,
the law, they can pursue her.
I had a whole neighborhood call me one time because they were living next to a concrete company, a cement company that would make cement, and the trucks would pull in and out. And they said, "Hey, I think these guys are violating various local ordinances and things like that." And so I went in and I pulled the permits to see exactly what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do, and I looked at the local ordinances to see when they're allowed to operate and when they're not. I'm not doing anything unethical or illegal. I'm acting as their agents, but I'm looking to see if they're violating one of the local ordinances. And if so, we were going to sue them because they were running their operations till 3 a.m. and it's smoke and it's noisy and its lights are on and things like that. So there's nothing unethical or illegal about what they're doing. Just understand that they're acting as his agents there. So if they end up doing something unethical or illegal, it could come back on him. And oftentimes people don't realize this. You as an attorney, you bind your client. There's at least in Michigan, there's a ton of case law regarding settlement agreements. If both attorneys agree to settle a case, even if they technically don't have the client's authority, they might get grieved and maybe disbarred, but the case is settled. So you got to be very careful. So I always say, like in that particular situation, like I'm not entering into any settlement negotiations unless I get your written approval on it, because I'm covering myself. I'm acting as your agent. So they are acting as his agents, although in that specific scenario, they might not be doing anything wrong.
But what is the motive behind it? Because she's not doing anything that's interfering with with the neighborhood. I mean, so what would be the motive to doing that?
Well, the motive, I believe, would be borderlining on the extortion part.
Yeah, but I mean, ultimately, if her papers aren't in order and you're not complying with the law, I'm allowed to say, "Hey, government, this person's not doing the right thing." There's nothing wrong with just being a insufferable Karen of a human being.
But that in this case is not what it is. She's been trying to build her house, and
Mhm.
because of all of this overwhelming burden on her with this whole thing going on, she can't finish building her house. So if they're going to try to mess with her where she's living as a disabled mother with a child there because she can't build her house because she ran out of money to do so, I've never heard of that. To me is so lacking in morals and in kindness.
Certainly it is, but it's not illegal.
I've ever heard of.
Yeah, it's not illegal.
Well,
it's
okay,
not illegal to be an asshole. You know, let's start
Right.
off with that premise. It's not illegal to be an asshole. Like just because Jeremy is an asshole doesn't mean it's illegal.
But should they be getting paid for it as they're using you while they're being that toward you? I mean, if they're making money on their channel doing this,
that's what the counterclaims are going to be about.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So that's the criminal enterprise. That's the RICO stuff that we were talking about. If the motivation is to essentially kind of extort this woman and maliciously kick her out, if you can prove
that's
that,
what I'm saying.
different.
What are the motives exactly? What are the motives? What could they be?
Yeah. So a person who willfully, maliciously, or repeatedly follows, harasses, or cyberstalks a child under 16 years of age commits the offense of aggravated stalking, which is a felony. This is the one I was getting at with regard to the minor child.
Yeah.
It's worth mentioning. Just I'm going to take this chance. You were talking about the agency thing and not the actual defendant, but their agent doing the action. I have a perfect illustration. In Connecticut, two ladies spoke at a library budget meeting, and a letter from the library's lawyer threatened to sue them for defamation. And one of them got a lawyer to write back saying, "Come on, that's nonsense, and you should apologize and drop the threat." And then the library's lawyer wrote back saying, "We will do neither drop the threat nor apologize." The only action was the lawyer's action, but the defendant is the library.
Right.
And that's those are my cases in Connecticut.
So those are the counterclaims. I think the stalking one is very strong. I think the invasion of privacy through electronic means is very strong. Yeah, so that's what's coming. Now I understand that there's an outstanding motion to dismiss, so it's going to be a little bit until that motion is resolved by the courts. But yeah, I wanted to address the federal complaint, the outstanding or the counter complaints, and really explain what agency law is, because I don't think Jeremy gets it when he's looking at these
Right.
criminal complaints and he's like, but I don't employ, she's not acting as my employee. It's not an employee situation. It's at the direction of or to better your position.
With
So-
authority or apparent authority.
Yeah,
Actual
it doesn't
or
even have to
apparent.
have actual authority. It could be apparent authority. So that can really get him into a sticky situation. And
Mhm.
Bruce, you said a few times, I don't think he was thinking that Michelle was going to fight back, and I think he
Right.
thought he could get away with this. But it sounds like there's
Miscalculation.
yeah, definitely. But yeah, I mean, that's about all I have to talk about here today. It's been an hour and 46 minutes, but what do you guys think? Is there anything else that you guys want to get into or say?
Did you
Oh,
finish?
nuisance act. There is a nuisance act, but I don't think it qualifies. However, I didn't put it up here. So there's a statute in Florida that says you can't engage in nuisance on your property. And then it defines what nuisance is. And it's, how severe repute and things like that, which isn't going on. But the other one is hosting a gang. And if you can make the argument that Jeremy and What the Hales is a criminal enterprise, I think you can actually get it classified as a gang under that nuisance statute. And there's another cause of action. So I didn't pull it up because I originally wasn't going to talk about it. But yeah, with Sean's astute observation that Jeremy might be engaging in a criminal enterprise, it could very much be gang related under the Florida code as well, because a gang is a criminal enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, I wonder, I am interested to somehow at some point learn how this all started with PJ Media covering it and Megan Fox writing an article on PJ Media. Now that's when all of the YouTube pile-on began, and it was the very end of
I will
February.
tell you what I know.
Yeah.
So all I know is, first of all, my channel, the one that's taken down now, I was streaming about 5 days a week for like a year, and then in February I decided to retire. I'm done. I couldn't sustain it because it wasn't the profit making thing that I was promised. But anyway, so I just sort of stepped back from everything, and then all of a sudden I got messages that another streamer, MG Law, got 48,000 views. And he only had 800 subs or something, or maybe 1,000 subs. He didn't have a lot of subs, not to justify that. And I was like, what in the world is going on? Apparently he picked up on a story that DUI guy had covered, and it was What the Hales, and it was the Florida hearings with that judge.
And it started out with the judge who,
Right.
I think there were some things where the judge was okay, but I think this judge definitely acted like a spaz at points.
He did.
And I also think there's points, though, for example, in the middle of their, from what I can tell, when Lynette's in the deposition, they're having depositions over a civil protection order. This judge seems like such a ponce. He doesn't realize, you've already you have fucked this up to that point. This isn't a wrongful death case. This is a civil protection order. If you can't figure this out within 2 hearings, you should probably throw it out and tell them to come back later.
That's the thing, right? This is a civil protection hearing. These things are quick. These things are temporary, and these things are disposed of in at the most half-day hearings. And like Sean said, we don't have the right to discovery in personal protection orders. You show up with all your evidence, or else the case gets kicked. You can go sue them in civil court, but not a personal protection order sort of hearing thing, which is quasi-criminal, quasi-civil, sort of a hybrid. Like Sean said, this judge screwed it up to begin with, and I think that's what everyone was jumping on. And this judge and the way he was acting. And for a while, so the first hearing I saw, I thought the judge was acting appropriately with an improper party until the end, when then all of a sudden he got mad at Jeremy and Jeremy's lawyer because they wanted an adjournment. And I thought he was acting a little irrational, and I didn't get it. And then the next hearing, apparently Jeremy's lawyer is kicked off and he's got to have a new lawyer. And I'm like, something's not right here. And he spent the entire time berating Jeremy and Jeremy's lawyer. That's bad. That's not the sign of a good judge. Just like I said about the Ohio judge, when the Ohio judge spends the entire time berating two improper parties, that's bad. You guys might like it if you're fans of Jeremy, but that's a sign of a bad judge. So that's how it got traction in sort of the law tube community, whatever, the lawyers on the internet talking about it.
Was there
Sean,
ever
did you watch any of the trial or the hearing?
But it was just
I watched the bits and pieces of it, and I will say this is an issue that happens a lot, like where this is part of the reason why when I'm not necessarily going to lump you in with this, Dave, but everybody went like full, all gas, no brakes into this. I'm like, who are we backing? Who are we looking into? And she's not here right now, but the lovely future Mrs. Martin 2.0 was starting to do work. We were starting to run some of this stuff down. Like, oh, they lived in Wayne County, but they went to Summit County for the CPO. And because that's all right down the road from me, I'm like, what's going on here? Why is this happening? Like, this stuff was just not ending up. And I got a crappy feeling from a lot of this. And we were just like, we're gonna tap out of this one. And I mean, it seemed like a bad vibe, but it's just like any community where if they think, oh my gosh, something's wrong, and they get wrapped up into it and they start going. I mean, it also doesn't hurt that Jeremy's people were out there basically, super chat bombing and view bombing.
Yeah.
Well, listen,
That's true.
And you put the words
the most
and it was
the most important thing
Mhm.
was to find a federal lawyer, and that's been accomplished. Now, the most important thing is for an Ohio lawyer to hopefully see this and want to get involved in helping her challenge these contempts, the one that's already been found, the ones that'll come, and also challenging the jurisdiction of the Ohio court in the first place to have even taken this case and entered this order. So we're hoping that somebody out there tonight will follow up and say, hey,
I mean, I are in Cleveland, Ohio, so
I
might be able to talk to you guys about that and see what we can do.
Great.
But yeah, this is so that's my thing. So I jumped on one of MG's streams and I sort of said what I said. I'm like, I don't see this judge doing anything bad right now. And everyone was like, just wait. I'm like, okay. But when I said that, like the chat started jumping down my throat and I was like, oh, so this guy's got some followers that are over here. And then I was on another stream, actually, Nick Staroff's stream, and Jeremy made an appearance. And so I was asking him some questions and things. And then I invited him onto my Lego stream because, again, something didn't seem right. My Lego stream is an interview stream. So I wanted to interview him. And then after that, I was like, something still doesn't seem right. And so then I started digging a little bit deeper. And I was not about to jump on the bandwagon because as you guys can hate Michelle. You could say she's insane, she's crazy, she shouldn't have her kid, whatever. She should have a right to due process, and she shouldn't she shouldn't be harassed. Every right that you think Jeremy should have, she should also have.
Yep.
So he didn't even build Legos. I know. Yeah, he didn't build Legos on the Lego stream. That was his first strike with me. But yeah, something didn't seem right. And then so then I questioned because I saw a lot of his videos. I'd watched 3 years of his videos in order to prepare for the Lego stream. And I really wanted to know as much as I could from his videos what
My
this
condolences.
whole thing was about. Well, and it's not my style. I don't normally like that style of content, but I watched it because I wanted to see what the story was. And I don't see either party acting in the best light, to be fair. I don't see Lynette acting in the best light. I don't see Jeremy acting. I don't see anyone in that town, frankly, acting.
I do not agree. I do not agree. I've met the most loveliest people there, especially the former administration, which I've gotten to know very well. Amazing.
To be fair, I'm watching it only from Jeremy's videos too. So So
you're
take
getting
that.
you're getting side A on his videos. That's about all you're getting. I mean,
Yeah, I know, but I'm just like looking at this as objectively as I can with the content that I can, and I'm
Well,
like,
that's why this is so fantastic, Dave. Because let's face it, the 3 or 4 that are really covering every aspect of it, every time a filing is done, they're all the same. They're exactly copying each other. It's just pile on, nicknames and silly jokes, and So this is
and
extremely important that people can finally hear the other perspective.
Michelle's
yeah,
taking very good care of her daughter, and all the times that CPS was called and they arrived, everything's been closed. There were no case plans. As Jeremy's telling everybody, there were case plans. There's nothing there. She hasn't done anything wrong. She doesn't deserve any of this. And I'm sorry, but I don't agree that when you watch the shows that you're seeing things that she's doing, she's not doing anything. She's trying to build her house and take care of her child and live her life there. And she's being so harassed and overwhelmed, and her whole life is being hijacked. It makes me want to cry. To think that anybody thinks that she's doing something to deserve this, because she does not at all deserve this. Not at all.
Well, I know. I think with the age of YouTube, for a lot of people, they're not real people. They're just a story, a reality story. They don't see the harm of real people. All they see
I
is
think
their
that's
1 hour,
fair.
35-minute video of Jeremy, and they get their entertainment, and it's done.
well,
Well,
I think that is a fair assessment. I mean, we get that too. It's funny when we do meetups in real life and stuff, and meet people in real life. Or I've talked to Sean on the phone a couple of times, and it was like, hey, we can finally be real. We're not personalities on TV, but we're both the same. But people really don't know us. They think they know us, but they don't know us. And someone who doesn't want to be okay. She created a YouTube channel in 2020 because YouTube made her, and she posted one 10-second video about her child on that channel. That's not someone looking to be put out there in the public on YouTube. Yet this entire woman's life,
yes.
Jeremy is essentially, he talks about streaming his life. I stream just stuff that's
Right.
happening in my life.
His life is streaming.
He's now streaming all of Lynette's life, and she didn't ask for that. Whatever you want to think about her, she didn't ask for that.
But not only is he streaming, he's literally lying about her, and I have a lot of evidence to prove that he's lying about her, and that to me is so wrong. To put that out
Well,
to
this is all going to come out in.
family, right? Imagine your family or you, and having someone do this to you and lying about things about your life. Like he did it to me. He did a video about me. He lied about everything. He did the most egregious lies against me. He said I was in mental institutions in my life. I have no mental history at all. Like he said lies that would really. He's doing the same to her.
Well, but that's YouTube. That's the nature of YouTube and this sort of thing. Like I've been called a homeless internet lawyer because I stream from a treehouse. I love that stuff though, and it doesn't get to me.
Well,
I encourage it actually, and that's why Zach is in the chat trolling me. But so it's just a different. People on the internet can remain anonymous. I don't know who. Frankly, I've only met one of my moderators in real life, and that's Wendy H. The rest of them I've never met in real life, and so you're gonna have to trust, but you can never really trust, and you don't really know these people. So it's just a different beast when everyone can kind of be anonymous. And the truth will come out. Lolita smiles. Exactly. The truth will come out. And that is part of litigation, by the way. So litigation is designed to produce the truth.
Yeah, let me ask Shara. Somebody commented that there's already been a forensic analysis of some of these signs that determined she wrote them. Somebody made this comment.
I have one handwriting expert, and
who's your forensic analysis? Who did it?
And again, why did
they had $10,000 just to whip out to go pay for some guy to examine it?
Well, where does that come from? Is that something Jeremy just said on his?
No, he actually does. He did hire a.
Well, he said he did, but how do we know
he says he says a lot of things, and I'm searching a place I can't be in, or I'm scared. It's like,
okay, so she just picked up on something.
She didn't write those signs. She didn't.
Yeah.
Another viewer asked, "Isn't Bruce suspended from the practice of law?" No, Bruce is not suspended. Bruce has a perfectly clean record for 27 years in 2 states,
and he's awesome.
Double my practice experience, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, this is the thing here about attorneys, right? let's say I decide to turn in my bar card because I don't want to practice anymore. My knowledge is still here. My ability to read case law and my knowledge of the law is still here. So I can perfectly comment on it, even if I'm not licensed to practice. But I am licensed and I do practice. And in fact, you guys might see me in a trial next week. Maybe. I don't know yet. But anyways, so that's about all we have today. I'm glad you guys could stick around and hang out with us. And listen to maybe some of the other side of this case and some things that are coming up. And the text message that I have to refute just the one count is just like the tip of the iceberg here. So there's a lot coming Jeremy's way, I foresee. Anyways, I'm not speaking with any sort of authority. I'm just a talking head at this point.
Well,
but I'm looking forward to it.
The truth is on the way. The sunshine is coming.
So, Sean, thank you very much for sticking around. The Umbrella Gal, thanks for hanging around. And I'm going to send you guys out actually with a little AI video. Hopefully you guys enjoy, and we'll see you on the next show. See you guys. Bye.
There's a man down in Florida, thinks he's always right. Fights with his neighbor every day, turns into a nightly fight. Those lawsuits like a punch, can't stand to lose one. Sues the town he used to love, now he's left with none.